Hello, this is Graham at ExcelGo. Welcome to the ExcelGo tutorial for using the Vlookup function in Excel. The Vlookup is a powerful function that enables you to retrieve a value from a range that corresponds to a lookup value. For example, if you want to return a value that corresponds to the word car from another range, the Vlookup enables you to do just that. There are some caveats to this formula. Regardless of how many times a lookup value appears in a range, only the first instance of it will be used. If you need to account for multiple occurrences, there is a way to do so, and I'll be writing another tutorial on how to use Vlookup to return multiple instances of a value. You can also only look from left to right with a standard Vlookup. You would need to use index and match to work from right to left. Again, I will show this in another tutorial. A workaround for this, though, is to cut or copy the column containing the values to be retrieved so that they appear to the right of the lookup value. Just make sure the range isn't being used for or by anyone else, especially if you are cutting the data, as it could affect what they are doing. If you want to summarize the number of occurrences and/or the sum of values relating to a lookup value, you may be better using the COUNTIF and SUMIF functions. Again, please see my separate tutorials for each of these. What I will show you now is how to look up some text in column A and return the corresponding value from column B. In range A1 to B6, I have listed vehicle types and their value. In column F, I want to return a vehicle value from column B of the vehicle type I have entered in column E. In row 2, I want to return a value for car, which is 10,000. I will talk you through the VLOOKUP already entered in cells F2 and F3, and then type it out in F4. I will begin by selecting cell F2. You can see the VLOOKUP displayed in the formula bar. By clicking on the FX to the left of the formula bar, the function arguments box is displayed. You can see there are 4 elements to the VLOOKUP, and they are lookup value. This is the value or text that you want to search for in a range of data. Table array. This is the range of data containing both a lookup value and the corresponding value you want to return. You can have other columns too, but you must have both of these. And one thing to note is that the column containing the lookup value must be the first column in your range, with the column containing the value you want to return being anywhere to the right of this. Column index number. This is the number of the column in your range from left to right. For example, if your table contains columns A to C, and the value you want to return is in column C, the column index is 3, because column C is the third column in the range A to C. You cannot have a column index of 1, as the first column always contains the lookup values. Lastly, we have range lookup. This is either true or false. Now, this may be the reverse of what you would expect, because true looks for the first approximate match to your specified lookup value, whereas false looks for the first exact match of your lookup value. Unless you have reason to be using true, I would recommend using false. So, working through the example formula, in the function arguments, you can see that to the right of each box is information based upon your entries, and below, if it is applicable, you'll see a formula result. For the lookup value, I have entered cell E2, which is car. You can see to the right that the value car is in E2. For table array, I have entered A1 to B6. This is the range of data that begins with a column containing possible lookup values, which is column A, and another column containing values I want to return, which in this case is column B. I have created an absolute reference around my table array. This is the $sign before each column letter and row number. This fixes in place my table array. Otherwise, if I were to drag the formula down or across, the table array would change, meaning that I would not correctly be capturing the range I need to look at. For column index number, I have entered 2, because the values I wish to return are in the second column in my range of A1 to B6. Remember, your first column always contains your lookup values. For range lookup, I have entered false because I want to look for an exact match to the word car. You can see below this that it shows the formula result, which is 10,000. That is what I would expect to see, because the vehicle value corresponding to the car is 10,000. Looking into the formula in cell F3, you will see that this time my lookup value is cell E3. Let's show the function arguments. go, so E3, which is bicycle. Everything else is the same as in the previous formula, so we're looking at the same table array, same column index number, and same range lookup. And you can see that this returns a value of 1000, which corresponds to the value against the bicycle in our range of data. I will now enter a new lookup in F4 to look for the value of van in range A1 to begin to B6. To begin with, I'll type the word van in cell E4. Now I'll select cell F4. When you are comfortable with formulas, you can free type them. When learning, it's helpful to click the FX next to the formula bar to display the function arguments. This breaks down what you need to enter. So we'll click on the FX. If it's not there, type for Vlookup and press Go. Once it's visible, select it, click OK. And this brings up the Vlookup function arguments. You can also click on cells or a range of cells to populate the relevant options. For lookup value, I'll click on cell E4, as this contains van, which is what I want to return the value of. For table array, I'll highlight the cells A1 to B6, as that is the array I need that contains my data. As mentioned earlier, I want this to be an absolute reference, so I'll press F4, and that puts the dollar signs around my row and column. If it only applies it to either the left or right of the table array, or just to a row or column, you can keep pressing F4 to cycle through until you get to an absolute reference again, or you can manually add the dollar signs in. So next will be my column index number. I will again enter 2 because column B is the second column in my table array. And for for range lookup, I will enter false because I want an exact match. You can now see the formula result below, which shows 8000, which is what I would expect to see for van. Now, if I change the text in E4 from van to lorry, you'll see that the corresponding value is now changed to 15,000 because the vehicle value for lorry in our table array is 15,000. One other thing you can do with the VLOOKUP is refer to a named range rather than a standard table array. So in these cells below, I've got the same setup, so I have the same range of data just for different vehicle values and similar lookups here. So when I look on the function for car, I'll notice in the formula bar that for my table array, I've got a word vehicle range rather than the typed range of A1 to B6. So if you want to name a range, what you can do is highlight it, and then up here in the naming bar, what you would do is type in the name that you want to apply to that range. Just bear in mind you can't use any spaces, and then press enter, and you now have a named range. And then to use that named range in your lookup, all you need to do is type the named range in place of the table array, and it works in exactly the same way. If you want to edit a named range in any way, go to Formulas in your toolbar, and in the ribbon we have a name manager, and you'll see in here that it enables you to edit or delete or add a new range, and it tells you the references as well. So if you need to change the range that refers to, you can do so here. That is all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching the ExcelGo Excel tutorial about the VLOOKUP function. Please see excelgo.co.uk/tutorials or ExcelGo Excel tutorials on YouTube for other tutorials and information. Thank you.